Hello, it's Howard Rheingold. I first met Justin Hall in 1994 when I was the founding editor-in-chief of Hot Wired, which was going to be Wired Magazine's first commercial online zine venture. And we were looking for an intern. One of the people who worked at Hot Wired pointed us to this young fellow at Swarthmore who's putting his life online and consistently bringing down the Swarthmore server because of the amount of traffic that was coming to his website. So Justin's links from the underground is acknowledged in the New York Times, and if you look at his Wikipedia page, as being kind of the original blog. Justin is often referred to as the grandfather of bloggers. Fast forward 10 years, student at USC Multimedia Interactive Division, he came up with this notion that maybe we could make a game out of watching everything that you do on the internet. So Justin and his fiancée, Mercy, have a startup, and they're creating something that they call a passively multiplayer online game. I had them come and speak to my Berkeley class about what they were doing, and they in fact turned that week's syllabus into what they call a mission.
I got on the internet in 1988, but went to college in 1993 and was sort of like, oh my God, all the interneting that I'd ever seen was about text, and now you can do pictures and text and move around with a mouse. That was the web I saw in 1993. I was like, this is awesome. I'm gonna put all the writing I ever did on this web thing because it's basically free if you have a computer to make stuff. So in 1994, I started writing about myself and putting up these old poems and putting up my school papers and putting up everything, and got a lot of traffic from people at NASA or people in the military or people who worked at giant companies because that's the only people who are on the internet. So I was like, well, this is great. They're reading all this stuff. I might as well like put together the connective tissue, right? If I put up this poem or this story, I'll write about the person that the poem was about, and I'll write about the place where we met, and knit those links together in my own homepage. And I did that for about 12 or 13 years until finally I realized that it's very hard to be in the present with the people around you if you are expected to write an essay that night in explicit detail about all that happened that day with the other people. So then I stopped doing it, and I said, I'm going to take all that energy that I had that I used to put into oversharing compulsively on the internet, and I'm going to put it into something else, but I didn't know what that was. And then, about 2 years later, it sort of occurred to me that it would be awesome to be playing a game all the time with everybody. Mercy and I met at university, developed this project as a sort of part of our university studies, put demos of it out on the web, got people to look at our demos, got a little grant to make our demos better, took that version that we made with the grant, and then got venture capital funding, and now we work out of a home loft on this thing. So when you ask us, are there these tools, it's like, shit, if we weren't busy talking to the class, we'd be at home writing them.
Okay, so let's start, I guess, with the basic idea of PMOG then, is that it's a passively multiplayer online game that takes place in a virtual reality that we've all already created together, the internet, right? It's the sum total of all human knowledge, and there are communities on there, and there are social tools on there. And it even works on a location metaphor, right? You go to Nike.com to shop, and you go to websites to participate in the social gathering there. So the idea with PMOG is that on the city of the internet, or within the city of the internet, there's no government, there's no ruling body, right? That's why within these groups you have to regulate socially yourself, and the people who are the webmasters have to decide whether or not people can or cannot do things. So what PMOG is doing is sort of being the government for the internet, but a playful government, and one in which there's no ruling authority, and it's just faction against faction. A mission is a series of websites that the person who made the mission has accumulated, put into whatever order they thought appropriate, and annotated notes onto. I decided to take this mission, and I was trying to just sort of come up with general questions that someone might ask you about the reading. And because this is your syllabus, it just says, do you reference this page every week to get your online readings?
All of this is funny because our first objective is to make a great game. And so out of the game, we keep getting these professors saying, I want my students to play this interactive game around the material of the web because I have the web and I want the students to be able to sort of annotate it and play with it. And so they're like, let's use PMOG, and we think, okay, we were going to develop a guild system. We were going to call it, well, we're just going to develop a guild system, and we're going to have groups of people who can have leaders and can claim websites and do battle and all this stuff that we want to do. Well, then what if a type of guild was a class? But I think if you are sitting there thinking, man, are these guys building like all this game to build these classroom tools? It's like we are adapting a game to try that incidentally helps people teach each other stuff across the web. Even if it is teaching people how the rules of the web can be broken and remade and that there's factional war. I mean, what you were talking about in your class is very much what Mercy's simulated with the world of PMOG, which is people going to battle over rules and social decorum around information sharing. You give us your surf trail, we will give you a character points and weapons, tools to use. So that's the trade-off. But that's a very important question because we have to communicate to people, look, we're doing a new type of game. We're doing a game where you can play with your data trail and your attention and where you go, but you should feel in control while that's happening because you can pause it, you can erase yourself, all these things you can do so that you have control and some agency in this, right? Because I think that's the thing that really freaked people out about when Facebook launched this service. I would be on Amazon, I'd buy a book, and then they'd be like, great, we're going to tell your friends you bought this book. And I was like, what? Like, what? I didn't know that's what I was getting into when I shopped on Amazon and had a Facebook profile. Like, how did that happen? If you see that everything you do in the computer or on your phone is registering gestures on the internet, and you see the power in that because other people could track your movements, or you could track your movements, or you could be leveling up in a game, all these things that you could be doing, we want people to feel that sense of power. But it's a new sense of power, right? Having an awareness of your network history is a new sense of power. So we need to communicate that to people of how they can control it and what they're choosing by playing our game.